Look, guys, what we wanted to do here was a couple things. First of all, we want to come and say thank you to the National Guard's folks, to the cops, for actually keeping this place safe. If you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. in just the past 9 days, we've seen a 35% reduction in violent crime. We've seen over a 50% reduction in robberies. We are seeing really substantial effects because these guys are busting their ass. So I want to come here, highlight what they're doing, say thank you in person, obviously pass out a few burgers, but most of all, just send a message to the American people. Look, we don't have to live like this. We do not have to allow our cities to be taken over by violence and by disorder and by chaos. You can actually do stuff. You can actually bring law and order to communities. You've just got to have the political willpower to do it.
Joining me now is the author of international bestsellers, including The Strange Death of Europe, The Madness of Crowds, The War on the West, and his latest on democracies and death cults. Douglas, let's start in DC, where Donald Trump is tackling crime to the dismay of Democrats and the media. But look at these crime statistics released by the DC Police Union showing a dramatic drop in crime since the announcement of federal control compared to the 7 days prior. We're seeing robberies down 46%, carjackings down 83%, violent crime down 22%. Who can possibly be against that other than criminals?
Well, the Democrats and other Trump critics, most feverish critics, have all been against this from the very beginning. It's extraordinary. President Trump has a very straightforward thing, which is that DC, should not be allowed to fall any more than any other American city, but also it should be looked after a little bit more than other American cities because it's the nation's capital, because it's the place where people arrive in, statesmen, politicians, businessmen, tourists. And if Washington, D.C. is covered in homeless encampments and is rife with crime, then that's the sort of thing that makes people believe that this is a little symptom or a big symptom of a much wider problem in the nation. And that's the main reason why Trump has decided to have this crackdown. As you've just shown there, it's clearly already working. And I just wish that, first of all, the critics of Trump would occasionally, if he does something that provably works, would give him some grace for it. And secondly, that all of those extraordinarily preachy international figures who believe that he can never do anything right, wonder whether or not they would benefit from the same policies. For instance, I'd have thought that London, where I am at the moment, would certainly be able to benefit from, for instance, the police taking an interest in crime. But no, they don't want to do that. And you just have to think of all of the tourists to a city who will be put off the city and the country for a very considerable time if they experience or witness acts of criminality of the kind that Trump is trying to crack down on in D.C.
I just want to get your comment on Washington, D.C. We talked last week about the National Guard being sent in to improve law and order. They're on the streets. How's it all panning out?
It's working well. They're finally regaining control of Washington, D.C., which has had a higher crime rate in the last few years than some third world countries, cities like Mexico City. Washington, D.C. actually had a higher crime rate than Mexico City, Panama City, all kinds of other third world cities. So something had to be done. Good for Trump. It is working. And again, I know we talk about this theme a lot in these segments. all it takes is will and strong leadership, and so much can be done. We are seeing that on the ground in Washington, D.C., which has been an embarrassment for over a decade now in terms of their law enforcement and safety. Finally, the citizens there can sleep easy at night knowing the law is being enforced.
Strength and leadership and will. We don't see it here in Australia,
right,
but it is on display there in DC at the moment. Thanks for joining us again, Kristen.
Thank you, Chris.